Mr. 411, how's it going?
Hey man, it's going great. It's going great.
That is good to hear.
How about you,
Good
man?
to hear. Uh, Hectic day, but as you said, or as you love to say, every day that you get to see is a blessing. So no complaints. I'm
Yeah,
sure it's far worse for other people out there.
it definitely is, man. It definitely is. So I'm glad to be able to be here to talk sports with my sports brother, and we have a two topic show today, and ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna talk about Mr. Urban Meyer, and we'll have a little discussion about a college that's located in the state of Mississippi. Um, and they're both football related. And as you can see, Fairmont State's own Zach is on here, and he'll definitely give us the football insight today. So Zach,
Yes,
I already know the
sir.
I already know the answer, but are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Sports Brothers, let's go.
All right. Since we got
Yes,
the fast-paced version of the Sports Brothers today,
the accelerated, the hurry up offense, if you will. Uh,
that sounds good.
yes, today is December 16th, 2021. He is Zach. I am Mr. 411. We welcome you all to the show.
And I am going to say a week late, and not that I didn't tell you, I'm sure y'all did it on air, but happy belated birthday. Welcome to the 47-year-old club there, Mr. 411.
Well, thank you. All right. I'm grateful and happy to have seen another day, another
I
birthday.
know time has flown by. It is hard for me to believe that, I mean, quote unquote, 30 years ago, this was our senior year in high school,
Yep.
the greatest year ever in Kendrick High School history from a
The
whole bunch
history.
of perspective. The silver anniversary, as it was.
Wow. Yeah, time flies, man, when you're having fun. You know what I mean?
Yes,
That's
it
what we do.
does. Yes,
All
it
right.
does.
Well, we're going to do what we have been doing since ninth grade, and that's talk sports. And today, man, let's go ahead and talk about it, man. Urban legend, Urban Meyer. Man, when you wake up and you the first thing you see on the tube is that Urban Meyer has been relieved of his duties in Jacksonville. We have to talk about it. So what's going on with Urban Meyer?
Well, we can pass this back and forth, but I would say I'm not going to say that Urban Meyer took this job to get fired. What I will say is he took this as quote unquote a golden parachute, which a lot of organizations give a tenured uh, employee that has been uh, important to the company to help them, achieve a certain amount of revenue or prestige or whatever you want to call it. And typically they kind of get this, they're going out the door. Let's give them a nice send off with a lot of cash. Well, of course, he couldn't get that or I should say, he didn't get that from Florida, didn't get that from Ohio State. So this was kind of his cash in, and it allowed him to stick his toe in the water for NFL coaching. But I don't think in the beginning that he was someone that you should have. I guess that they would have thought that you bring in and that he was going to have a whole bunch of success, only because he didn't have an experience in the NFL. And from my standpoint, I would tell you college jobs are much better than the NFL jobs. You have to go through the recruiting part of it, but if you're at a place, and he was at Florida and then he was at Ohio State, which is definitely a kind of top five job, you're the king. You get to quote unquote do what you want to do, act how you want to act, and as long as you're winning, nobody says anything. I believe it was Woody Hayes. Woody Hayes didn't get I don't know if he was fired, let go. He decided to move on from Ohio State until he punched that player or something of that nature. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
same thing Bob Knight at Indiana. Once he put his hands on the kids and it got really serious, they decided to move on. So Urban, I'm not going to say he had a certain mentality, but I'm sure the money is what influenced him to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was one of the worst teams in the NFL, and he takes on that. And then you had Lawrence coming in, and I know they were kind of your pick to go to the playoffs.
Yep.
And not necessarily far off, but you can just see with a lot of the turmoil that was going on that this wasn't necessarily. I will just say that I'm not sure Urban Meyer was 100% in, or that he maybe had the mindset of if things go bad, he knows that he has a certain amount of money going to him. And before I go deeper, I'll pass the baton to you and let you run it for a lap.
Well, yeah, Zach. Urban Meyer, to me, I believe that he's obviously out the door here, in my opinion, because of things that was going on off the field. On the field, it's pretty, it was pretty clear that um, the Jaguars are already, not a playoff team. There's a reason why they would have had the number one draft pick the year before. So we knew that this was going to be a work in progress. It wasn't going to be just one of those miracle, turnarounds, immediate turnarounds. This was going to be a project. So, it seemed like it was been a good setup for him because there's nothing to lose as far as the record goes. But now it's surfacing that a lot of things have been going on off the field and a lot of decisions that Urban Meyer has made. And we can talk about some of those things. But definitely one of those things is like, we just go right here with it now. The kicker, Lambeau, he came out recently saying that Urban Meyer kicked him in the hamstring, and when you have things like this going on, like there's got to be a power trip or something that's going on with Urban, and this is not how you treat your players. Just right here, there's Josh Lambeau right here, according to Adam Scheffler. Um, he alleges that Urban Meyer kicked him in the leg while he was stretching for warm-ups during practice during the preseason. And so, Meyer just really not giving the respect to grown men. I mean, NFL is a grown man's league, and you have to give them men respect for where they are, and which much respect given is much received. So there's some other incidents. I know I would love for you to bring up some of those things that happened earlier in the year, because we've had discussions about Meyer earlier, Zach.
Well, the thing with him, and it's just, I do think he's a great, at least college wise, he was a great coach. It's going to be a little different when you go to the NFL. And I would say with all organizations, you have to understand how to adapt to the people around you. College, you can be a little bit more forceful with individuals. In part, you have what they want, because those college kids that are at the University of Ohio State, we're going to call them student athletes, and that's changed with the NIL deals, which we'll get into a little bit later. But they're coming there because they want to go to the NFL. They want to become professionals. But if you are a NFL player already, you're already a professional. And more to the point, and I just say this with you, they grown ass men. Like a lot of them grown ass men with family. Now Lawrence, which I think Lawrence was married or was at least engaged, he's a little different. He's a young man, but still grown ass man paying his own bills, making more money, I think, than Meyer was, or at least close to it, being the number one pick. And then you have real grown men. They got children. Look, now you paying bills, you paying for houses, you paying for your mama and daddy house and all this other stuff. And oh, by the way, work out in a excellent training facility, get the best nutrition or whatever, at least in comparison to the world. Only people that are going to have better is maybe the other NFL teams that they're competing against. These people don't play. And they probably don't mind you getting in their ass and kind of correcting them and coming to them a certain way, but you need to come correct. You need to know what you're doing. And like, let's be real. It's one thing in college that if a guy doesn't do well, he doesn't go to the NFL, and maybe you can fall back, oh, well, he wasn't good enough to go to the NFL. once again, with these people that are in the NFL that are already professionals, if they're not getting the right coaching, that costs them on the next contract. If it could cause them to go out there and get an injury or whatever. So they take all of this stuff seriously because as we've seen, the more you win, the more other teams want to get you and pay you. The better you perform, the more teams want to pay you. And as much as people may care about championships, they probably care about their own individual success and finances more. And Urban Meyer, I don't think connected with the players. I'm not upset that he kicked Lambeau because I listened to Chris Broussard and Rob Parker talk about it, and they explained what Lambeau did or what happened. And Lambeau said like he kicked him, and it wasn't like a 10 kick, but it wasn't a 1 either. It was a 5. But had he maybe said, "Hey man, need you to start making your kicks," and then he like tapped him or whatever, you know, that's different when you got a relationship with somebody like you and I. Like you and I can joke about, to a degree, we can joke about certain things with each other because we have a history with each other. We know each other. But somebody that don't know us and they come in and they think they in the circle and they try and maybe poke you in the ribs about something or poke me in the ribs about something. We go back, who the F do you think you are? Like, you don't know me like that. You can't come at me like that. And I want to say, what was it? Urban Meyer, at least they reported that he came back the next day and talked to Lambeau and was like, hey, if you got an issue with me, then you let me know offline and we talk about it, not in front of everybody. And I think as you got now, I'm the head coach. Right. Like, dude, that don't give you free reign to do whatever you want to do. So that was probably, you know, he's got the Ohio State, Florida mentality. And that won't work in the NFL. And as you would say, we can go to the first incident. He hired that Iowa strength and conditioning coach, and I don't remember the name, but he had just it hadn't been a year, or it had been just a little past a year, where he had just been released from Iowa via settlement because players talked about how he was, not gonna say racist, but at least racially insensitive. So that's kind of step one of why would you do that? And I'll pass it back to you once again because I got a little long-winded and I have some more that I could add to it.
Well, you're doing well, Zach. It's no biggie. But also, you know, the incident about him not flying back with the team, and then also having the dancing suggestively with the young lady. You know, this is image stuff, and it's all things that like is not what happened on the field. You know, I mean, of course, with the losing on top of all this.
There you go. That's what you need to emphasize, because I don't hear nobody talking about them Cowboys of the 90s with Irvin, Aikman, and Emmett. They did all kind of stuff, but they were winning.
And even in Jimmy Johnson's, when he transitioned from coaching at the University of Miami and then to the NFL, and he had a 1-15 season with the Cowboys. If you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, you would be correct.
Okay, but you know, he didn't have all this other extracurricular from the coach, so it's like you can't act this way if you ain't gonna come out with a 9-7 season right out the gate. So, you know, this is one of them things where the front office is like, you know what, it's just time. You're really smearing the image of the organization, and they have to do some backtracking on this too, and so that they can, you know, make their image look good as far as the organization goes and move forward. So, you know, that's why I think he's out of here more than anything.
Well, I'm gonna do like Marcus Spears said on First Take, and I haven't listened to First Take in a while since they did their rebranding, but I thought when he was talking with Dan Orlowski, he was spot on. They said, I'm not giving the owner for the Jaguars credit, because who didn't see this coming with Urban Meyer? Like, first and foremost, I'm going to say anyone that says they didn't see this ending, that Urban Meyer was or end up leaving the Jaguars because of health reasons, I'd say raise your hand, because that's how Florida ended. Ohio State had its own end. So to think that this was going to end, say, with a Super Bowl, and then he just walks away, probably was not the reality. Because even if he won a Super Bowl, he would have hung on, got more money, and something would have gone wrong. And let's just be real too. Urban Meyer has not done this much losing. I'm not sure if he's ever done this much losing in his career as a head coach. Bowling Green, I think they had a undefeated regular season. I'm not sure if they lost their bowl game or not. He definitely had an undefeated season at Utah. Then he won a national championship at Florida, 2 of them, I believe. Well, he definitely won 2 of them. And then he won a national championship at Ohio State. So he's done a lot of winning. He's not used to the week after week after week after week. And let's kind of just be real on this. It's easy to say that it's going to get better in the NFL, but I think unlike college, with the NFL, how you run your organization dictates a lot. Because just because you get the draft picks, because we see the Jets, they in the top 5 or top 10 draft picks every year. And just because you up there, you get to go get talent, don't mean you're going to get the right talent. So it's not like Ohio State or Florida, where you get to bring in 25 guys a year. You probably got at least 25 of the, let's just be nice and say 25 of the top 500 high school football players in the country. And then you get 25 of the top high school football players the next year. In the NFL, depending on how your organization does, you might not be getting one of the top 200 players that come out that year if your organization ain't doing it right. And even if you do get that one, how many others do you have on the roster? How many others are you getting into the roster? And then that quarterback and all these things. So it's not necessarily a certain that he was going to be able to fix it. And all of this was weighing on him. And I think we talked about this maybe after week 2 or week 3. He looked like a man that was agonized over the loss. Like, I'm someone that doesn't like to lose. And it used to kill me when we would lose football games, especially in college. And you got the whole weekend or the rest of the weekend to think about it and get together. He looked like death trying to deal with that. So it was just go ahead.
No, I was saying that's what happens in the NFL. I mean, you're talking this is the elite of the elite. And and then it's a fairer system than it is in college.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you know, we could close our eyes and already tell you next year, you know, UGA, Alabama, you know, and you
Ohio State,
Ohio State, you know, top 5, right? Because they're gonna churn in and reload with the best of the best coming to their team, their school. Then the schedule, you make your schedule. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to, in the NFL, it's a little different. You don't make your schedule, and the talent is a lot different. It's spread out more.
And just to chime in real quick, we can because we haven't got on it. We know I'm a UGA fan, and they lost to Alabama, and we're definitely going to get into that and what went right, what went wrong. But I said at the beginning of the year, Georgia will be at least 11-1. The game that matters is beat Clemson, because if you beat Clemson, you're 12-0, and then you go to the SEC championship, and even if you lose, you make the CFP. I can call it now. Georgia will be 11-1, probably 12-0, because their first game is against Oregon. Their defensive coordinator is going to take over for Oregon. Georgia has more talent. The rest of the games, they're going to out-talent people. So then it'll come down to, do you win in the SEC championship or do you not win the SEC championship? And just depending on who you play. And anyone that follows Georgia kind of knows a lot of times when they lose in games, they lose their games to teams that look like them, i.e. LSU, i.e. Florida, i.e. Alabama. And it just emphasizes what you say. In the NFL, damn near every team looks like you except at the quarterback position, because outside of the quarterback position, you got big 300+ pound offensive linemen all over. You got big defensive linemen all over. Occasionally, you're going to get special individuals like an Aaron Donald, or you'll get, I'll pull a name from way, way back in the day for us, Anthony Munoz at offensive tackle or somebody like that. But for the most part, most of the guys, even when they're good, like Von Miller,
Yeah.
when he was at his apex, he's a great player, but he's not so great that like he ain't Lawrence Taylor great. That every time he goes out there, it's like, oh shit. I mean, it's a mismatch. Like,
Yeah.
like he's, but see, and the fact that I said that about Lawrence Taylor, that's what he did. Like he's a OS type player, whereas Von Miller is a really, really good player. I would probably say Aaron Donald is a really, really good player, though some people will probably tell you that he's an OS type player. Like Reggie White, he's an OS type player because he's throwing your offensive linemen everywhere. And we could just go with various guys like that. But for the, as you're saying, the most part, your NFL, everything is going to be run correct. So then it comes down to what type of contracts do these guys have? And that's it. What type of decisions are you making as an organization? Look at the Browns. The Browns last year, 12, 13 games. I think they won or something of that nature. Maybe I'm overestimating that a little bit. Maybe it was something less than that. But they beat Pittsburgh. They were a pick to go to possibly to the Super Bowl. You have some bad personnel decisions here or there, and now they come down back to the pack. And the Cardinals, I don't even know what the Cardinals did or didn't do, but Hopkins has been in and out all year. I know this because he's on my fantasy football team, and yet they're up towards the top. So you're spot on. Like, and I'm not sure Urban was built for the long haul of going through that. And it's going to be rare if you're the New England Patriots. They were the anomaly. Most teams are going to be more like, I mean, even if you want to go to Cowboys, everybody makes fun of the Cowboys, but the Cowboys won 3 Super Bowls in the 90s, and they're a lot of times somewhere under the old system, 7 to 9 wins a season, which is kind of what you're supposed to be.
Yep. All right. Well, look, let's talk about some of the candidates real quick before we get into our next topic.
I don't know.
There's some names that are being thrown around out there for.
Oh my! Next, I'm already telling you next.
There's Joe Brady out there.
Next, like for him to get fired, like stop it.
Yeah, Shane Waldron in Seattle.
I would probably tell you next with him because he's got a quarterback, and if Russell Wilson doesn't like him, why should we bring him in?
All right, up in Buffalo, Brian.
I know him from being or Dayball, I believe. I know him from, I want to say he was the Alabama offensive coordinator time. I'd kind of go back once again. I mean, isn't Buffalo kind of floundering this year? I mean, you could bring him in, but I mean, I wouldn't be excited about it. Look, I don't even know this dude. Is that like Norv Turner's son or something?
Well, you see how we took him off the screen, but we'll bring him back. Scott Turner.
That would say, is he Norv Turner's son or something?
Maybe he is. We'll put the producer.
Well, I just said that because I saw the Turner name. Because outside of that, I like, okay, so you're giving me 4 dudes, and it'll be great for them to get a job, and you can never tell who's going to do what. But stop playing. I'm gonna go back to yes. If you're gonna tell me somebody I can feel good about, and I only say it because this, I know another one of my receivers from fantasy football, Antonio Brown, hasn't been around for the Bucks, but their offense seems to be humming. Fournette looks like a new man, and every week I see other guys contributing to that offense. So I'd be fine with Leftwich, or I'm gonna go with the not that. Yeah, and you took it out right off the top of my head. I don't think Eric Bieniemy will be that great, but if you're gonna give me them other guys, go ahead and give me Eric Bieniemy. Yeah. Between the two, I think I would take. It's not that the Bucks don't have candidates, but I'll take the Cowboys offense, at least from a skill position. Yeah. They have they have 3 really good wide receivers. They have a good running back tandem. Their offensive line is okay, and yet I'm not sure I would turn it over to him. But like with any of those guys, it's hard to tell who's going to be a good head coach and who's not going to be a good head coach. Your guy in Seattle, like let's be real, he when he ran the Jets, and I'm not sure if he did the Patriots too, but he was kind of a clown show when he was there.
Correct.
He went to college,
Are you
got
talking
some
about Pete Carroll?
seasoning. Yes, went to
Yeah,
college, got some season, got himself together, and then he took over the Seattle job and a more mature guy, much better. I'm not going to tell you that Bill Belichick was a clown show, but Bill Belichick, you know, he wasn't saving nobody's children in Cleveland. Took some time away, came back, got the Patriots job, got things together. So you never know. But at the same time, Mike Tomlin was a home run from day one.
that's right.
So who
And
would
so
be
with
your candidate out of that?
well, I would either lean with Leftwich or be enemy. And Kellen Moore, those are my top three. But if I had to pick one out of those three, I would go with Leftwich because he played for the Jaguars. So, I think that would
He
be
did. I forgot about
that'll be
that.
that'll be a nice little twist to have in there, maybe the tiebreaker. I think those are the next three head coaches in the NFL in my mind. And when you're talking about assistants moving up into the head ranks, I think Kellen Moore. They talk about his offensive, playbook and the way he draw plays and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it looks
you
so
know,
amazing.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
yeah,
that's
like when they wasn't
that,
scoring. Like oh
but
oh
but
yeah,
that's what,
he's
yeah, but that's what the experts, that's what the people around the league are talking about. And so I would say, if you're looking at rising stars, if you will, or coaches with opportunity, Bieniemy is definitely a hot name out there. Leftwich, I mean, he's working with Tom Brady. He just came off a Super Bowl. It just fits to me. I think Jacksonville should go that direction, and they can't lose in that situation. It'll definitely be a 180 as far as perception wise too, based on the actions of Meyer. So that's who I have, Zach, as mine. What about you?
well. I would say this: if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars owner, as Marcus Spears said, he screwed this up, and Orlowski said Urban Meyer's a bad dude. I don't necessarily care if he's a bad person or whatever, because to me, all of that stuff is in your personal life. What is it you're doing in the office and within the organization and on the field? If you coaching and you winning, then nobody really cares. He did a poor job coaching, and then now all of a sudden how you handle people makes all the difference in the world. Pretty easy. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant had his quirks, and people didn't necessarily like him. In fact, what was it? Karl Malone. Like, who does this kid think he is? Waving me off on a pick and roll.
Right.
I'm Kobe Bryant. I'm waving you off on a pick and roll. But if he was just, I don't know, Roger Bell, then it's a totally different perception. I think the Jaguars need to go get a minority candidate. So for me, if it's not Leftwich or Eric Bieniemy, what are they doing? Like, you need to, because you told, like, the owner totally dropped the ball on this, and I'm not worried about how much he has to pay Urban Meyer for going away, because that's on him. It ain't like that goes against the salary cap. So if he's got to pay Urban Meyer all his money, you made that choice. That's what you get. That's your punishment. I'd like to see Leftwich get the job. As I said, I just don't have much faith in Bieniemy, but if he got the job, I wouldn't be bad. I'd take Leftwich though, and I forgot he played for Jacksonville. So what you said makes it even better. And he'll probably get fired from Jacksonville, but how many guys get the opportunity to come in and get to work with a top prospect? And look, I'm not gonna hide behind it. Minority guy. Usually, it's the minority guy getting fired, and some Caucasian coach gets to come in and he gets to work with the hot quarterback prospect, like last year with the Chargers. So in this situation, Meyer had his opportunity. Give somebody else an opportunity.
Yep. And what we need to do, if you're out here in the sports world, and you're listening, I would highly recommend that you give an opportunity to Heavenly Spa Mobile, 2484 Ingleside Avenue.
Were
Building
you
A,
waiting on that? You were just waiting for someone to put that plug in there, huh?
building
Good
A,
job.
Suite 101A, Macon, Georgia, 31204. Latonya can be reached at 478-747-9231. That's 478-747-9231. Heavenly Spa Mobile, where relaxation is the key.
Hey, you're good with that. I think I can like start counting numbers now. You would still be able to say that without being interrupted. So good job.
Wow. Well, but look, Zach, if they don't believe me, if they don't believe you, they can listen to Latanya herself.
Hi, I'm Latanya with Heavenly Spa Mobile. I'm a licensed massage therapist and owner. I've been practicing 18 years. If you're in need of any stress relief, tension, muscle, body aches, or just want to relax, you need to get yourself a massage. And please come check me out again at Heavenly Spa Mobile. I'm located at 2484 Ingleside Avenue. And I can be reached at 478-747-9231. Or you may go online to heavenlyspamobile.com. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Lovely advertisement.
Yes, one of the nicest people you ever meet.
I will give her that. Unless you get on a bad side, but mostly very, very nice.
Yep. And she pulls the Chicago Bulls, Zach. She pulled the Chicago Bulls. She pulled the early 2000 Lakers. She is back to back to back, best of the best.
Congratulations.
So Heavenly Spot Mobile is really doing their thing. Don't forget about the intro specials. I mean, you get a 1 hour sweetest or the deep tissue massage, and it's only $70. So take advantage of that opportunity there. And also Heavenly Spa Mobile, they were the Best of Georgia nominee as well. So check out Heavenly Spa Mobile and all the things that is going on in the Middle Georgia area that she's doing. Zach, I know that you have taken advantage of Heavenly Spa Mobile. You've taken advantage of the gift certificate program. You have done a lot of support for Heavenly Spa, and they've done a lot of support for the Sportz Brothers. So
yes, they have.
We definitely thank Heavenly Spa Mobile. Zach, we have one more topic before we get out of here. This is something else that was, when I turned on TV this morning, I saw them talking about it, and it was wow, Jackson State University. There's an obvious reason why that university name comes up a lot in the sports world, but in Jackson State, they just signed. We have to confirm it officially, but I've read where he's the number one. I've also read somewhere there was the number two top recruit in the nation.
It probably depends on what recruiting service you're listening to.
Okay, so yeah, according to that, determining that it definitely is a top prospect, a prospect that could have played anywhere. The young man I believe he was going to go to Florida State, but then he changed his mind.
Yes, he was.
So he chose Jackson State University. So just want to get get a little discussion going about that, and what do you think about, what's going on there?
And at least by the ESPN the kind of rankings, he was number one in his position, number two regionally, number one in the state. And he's out of Georgia. So the fact that the University of Georgia couldn't snag him says a whole lot. And trust me, UGA would have loved to have had him.
Exactly.
That's the truth. Now, for me, it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. I got to be honest. Like, it's great that Dion got this guy, but like, you and I grew up with Dion, and I can go back to running back used to be the position of choice in the NFL. How do I know this? Because I used to want to be a running back before I became a corner. Like, that was the thing of what everybody wanted to do. That was the position of glory. Dion comes along, be it at Florida State, and definitely when he got to the NFL in Atlanta, and he popularized being a cornerback where you could market yourself, make money, and playing cornerback became a cool position. And he probably made wide receivers be able to come out a little bit more and be flamboyant, because I'm not sure they were wide receivers. Maybe Chris Carter, but I'm not so sure Chris Carter was as flamboyant
Yeah, I don't think it
until
was.
Deion came along. Like Deion made that stuff, I guess, more acceptable, because Jerry Rice was the no nonsense straight shooter or whatever. Michael Irvin probably had that in him because he came from the U, so I can't say that he did. But Deion was really the person that got all that going. So I'm like, to be able to sell yourself to a defensive back, if Deion Sanders can't get corners to come to Jackson State, then who can he get to come? And this has been your argument the whole time. So Deion sold him on the vision or whatever it is. Now I've heard some about the NIL deal. Deion say it's not true. I think the Barstool has said that it's not true, that the kid's not getting 1.5 million. But who cares? Exactly. It's not illegal if they sign a marketing deal with the kid. I ain't trying to be funny. If Deion can get 20 kids a year, a $1.5 million NIL deal, good for Deion. Like, he shouldn't be, and I guess maybe he can't say that because that would be illegal or something, but good for him. What I want to see, excuse me, this is disappointing, but Jackson State has to play in the, what is it? Is it the Celebration Bowl or something? And they're playing South Carolina State.
Right.
Is that who they're playing?
Yes, the MEAC versus the SWAC. The Celebration Bowl will be held this Saturday at the Georgia Dome. At the Mercedes-Benz Dome, and it's basically the game that determines the Black college football champion, and so it's a big game, but I thought did you have something to say about that game?
Well, I was gonna say, like, for me, and you said it's a big game, so you could fill me in. Like, to me, that's not very impressive for me. Like, I would rather see them play in the 1AA playoffs and see how they compete for a championship. And, based on the schedule, the only team that they played that you could say that you had an opportunity to measure them, and they lost 12-7. I think they played Louisiana Monroe this year.
Right.
I believe is who they played. And I'd have to go check. What did you say?
They lost to Louisiana Monroe. And I think it was a close game, I believe.
Yeah, it's 12-7. And I want to see them compete against the other 1AA teams just to see, because right now they're definitely not Alabama. So what level are they at? Like, I'm not sure they're Georgia, but maybe they are Georgia. Or are they Clemson? I know North Dakota State is the Alabama of 1AA, but Deion's going to get players. And I say that to say, like, how are you developing these guys? Like, now, this kid, if he doesn't become a first rounder, that's an indictment against Deion and his staff, because other people are going to look at that and say, see, he brought the 5-star guy in, but how did he develop? And you were putting up some photos of how he had some of these guys transferring in, coming from these 1A schools, non-Power 5 schools, I guess some Power 5 schools, and getting them. So, okay, I need to see you start putting up scores of you go out there and you beat teams 60-7. I need you, as I said, for me, I want to see you in the 1AA playoffs to see, do you win the national champs? Like, are you an Alabama type? Are these guys really developing? But I'm not shocked that Deion is recruiting like this. And probably the last thing I would add is this. That guy at Florida State better get better at his damn job really, really quick. Because what Deion also showed me is he can recruit. I don't know about the coaching part yet. Like, he's learning on the job with that, getting the OJT, on-job training. But I would tell you, if it won't happen, I wouldn't mind him replacing Kirby Smart at Georgia. I'm just saying, for me, like, I'd be fine waking up and Deion is the coach. But I'd also say this too. I kind of thought this was if you want to go Ponzi scheme or get rich quick scheme or publicity stunt or whatever, he was just trying to go here and go out. I think he's going to be at Jackson State maybe 5-6 years now. Like
Yeah.
I think he may actually be invested to really make this work and promote HBCUs, which he's already done. So from that standpoint, I have to change up what I had been thinking in the beginning, and this has been great for HBCUs because they're getting well-deserved publicity, as they should. And I want to say Broussard was kind of talking about that these are quote unquote, untapped gold mines. And it really is. It won't be all of the HBCUs, but the right HBCUs, I'm not going to tell you that they can become like Alabama or Georgia or anything like that, but there's enough money out there that they can start bringing some of this stuff in to where these bowl games become bigger. And if you get alumni or just people that are fans or whatever, really start supporting it, kind of like you do at the, Power 5 schools or whatever, I could see people saying, you know what, I'd rather watch the Jackson State game than the quote unquote Cincinnati game, or maybe not Cincinnati, but let's go the Ohio University game or somebody like that we don't pay attention to. So good for Dion. I just he's got to develop the guys now.
Yeah, and I think that this is you almost hit the nail exactly on the head the same way I was looking at this, but like I would love for it one day where it is like this is normal. Like you read the articles and it says that the player flipped. Why we have to go flip? Yeah, hey, he just made a decision.
I think they said flip. I think they always say flip when you're quote unquote committed.
Right. Okay. So yeah, but when let's just say, for example, Bronny James is coming out soon in a couple of years. On his list of schools, right? It's going to be Duke, Kansas, blah blah blah, right? So one day, a player of his level comes out, of his talent level, and says, "Hey, here's a list of my schools," and it's Southern, Jackson State, Georgia, Kentucky, Duke. It's just all a part of it. And I like where Tennessee State, is coached by Eddie George. They're in the Big South Conference. So I mean, is it Big South or Ohio Valley? It's one of those two. But they're in a PWI conference. So you mix this thing together, and you have it where it's like football all across. And these are opportunities. There are untapped gold mines, especially for coaches that don't have any head coaching experience. We talked about that way back in the day with Patrick Ewing, when he was trying to get a coaching gig and he was complaining. Like, you could have went to there's a lot of schools out here where you could have went to and coached. And look at Mo Williams. He's coaching at Alabama State. So Mo Williams is former NBA player, those who may not know, but and he did make an all-star team before, but he's coaching at Alabama State. And so there's untapped potential across the board. And you know what else, Zach? We talked about this too in our production meetings, but now look at it. Grambling is now leveling back up as far as making their decisions on coaches. Hugh Jackson is now there.
Oh, a great hire.
You know what I mean?
He's a real coach.
Yeah. And who's to say that one day Ed Reed, I heard his name floating around. Tyron Wheatley is coaching at Morgan State. And so there's opportunities there. Eddie George, no head coaching experience, but he's now coaching, and they have a new weight facility that was built. So things are happening, and as long as there's improvements being made and attention, and as you stated earlier, alumni needs to start jumping in and getting on board with this thing, that it can be competitive across the board. And that's all that at the end of the day, that's all that I would be looking for, is it to be interesting all the way across. So,
and you are correct. They are in the Ohio Valley Conference.
Ohio Valley. Okay. So there you go.
Which is said, see, I like that. They went 5-6 on the year,
right.
3-3 in the conference. This gives me an idea of how I can judge you. Because right now I think Dion is much better than the teams around him. Yeah. So I'd like to see him do this at North Dakota State. Be like North Dakota State. Because as I said, look at North Dakota State. They've had 2 quarterbacks go in the first round.
Yeah.
South Carolina, the University of South Carolina, I don't think it's had 2 quarterbacks going the first round of the pass. Like you smile, but that's the true thing about it. So a one AA school has been able to produce 2, and I think 2 top 5 guys. I can't remember where the guy got drafted last year, but not like 2 back end first round quarterbacks. Like those are good things. So that's where Dion and Eddie George and all of these, like, if you really want to make an impact, now you got to start doing the other stuff.
Yeah.
Start developing these guys. But I'm with you.
Yeah.
Dion has made this thing happen. Congrats to him. I don't know why this NIL deal, I for the life of me, I don't understand why that's a big deal, because Saban talked about last year at the SEC Media Day that Bryce Young had signed for like almost $1 million NIL deal. It's like, okay, who cares? The kid that just left Ohio State, I think supposedly if his wasn't 1.5, maybe 2.5 NIL deal, which is why he graduated early from Texas high school, went up to Ohio State to enroll last year, and now he's back down in Texas because he has to get on the field for the NIL deal to kick in. But that's not a bad thing. It's not illegal.
Right.
So,
and I think that's probably
it's a positive.
Yeah, I think that's probably brought up because this individual didn't go to, a PWI. He chose to go to an HBCU, and not that right now that's going to, flip the board, if you will, but it is a sign. And of course, it has to be it has to be a consistent thing. It has to happen more, and it has to trend for years. Like, you can't, this is not a 1-2 year thing, and then everything.
See, for me, I just go to it's Deion Sanders, and he's a corner. Like, I don't even think this is like, if this was a, say, quarterback, like if this was a 5-star quarterback, then I would say it was a big deal. I don't think this is a big deal.
Well, what I'm saying is the reason why the NIL is being brought up now is because this is a player that didn't go, quote unquote, like, for example,
yes,
like you said, Georgia would have wanted this player and definitely would have used this player, and the player would have went to the pros. And so now there's a segment out there that is going to look at this and say, man, this might turn into a whole nother trend. Let's say something now to kind of be negative about it. But like you said, who cares? I mean, this is just what it is now. The NCAA, as you can read across the bottom, this thing has opened up with the NIL, name, image, and likeness. And, all these kids should try to get it. And
that's what I'm saying. I think whoever's looking at it, at least with this, that's what I said. They're just looking at it wrong. This young man is far removed from it. But I can tell you now, if I was coming out of JUCO like I was, and Deion Sanders was recruiting me to come play corner for him, I can't even tell you how good of a coach he would be, because I'm not sure Deion Sanders would be a good coach, because some of the techniques and things he did, everybody can't do that. He was just a supremely talented individual. Like, it's like certain stuff, like Kobe tried to teach you to do certain stuff, or Jordan tried to teach you to do certain, like, dude, you're Kobe Bryant, you're Michael Jordan. I can't do that. Like, I just don't have the physical ability. But how do you say no to Deion if you're a corner?
Right.
If you're a safety, sure.
And he told him he's gonna play 2 ways. He said,
that's what I'm saying. How do you say no to Deion Sanders corner? You're going with this negative recruiting trend, and I can get that. If he starts getting 5-star quarterbacks, if he starts getting, say, 5-star receivers and 5-star offensive line. Now, he did get also a 4-star wide receiver to come in. But if he's going to start getting those type dudes, then okay, I get it. But he signed, I mean, at least look at this. He signed three guys yesterday. If I'm looking at the corner, 5-star, this wide receiver that's a 4-star, 46. He's number 46 as wide receiver, and then he signed another cornerback, JUCO cornerback, 3-star, that is the number 7 cornerback. Like, that's not an awesome haul. If, like, we just be real, that's not a recruiting class that is supremely stacked or whatever. So anybody that's worried, I wouldn't worry as of yet. I'd be more concerned that This is kind of to me like the Nick Saban thing. Go back and look at Nick Saban's history. He was at Toledo. He coached, was solid at Toledo. Went to Michigan State, coached, solid there. Went to LSU. Rob and I have this debate all the time, but I don't remember LSU being good when we were growing up. Like, I don't remember them being good like that at all. Like, in the 80s, they were just kind of a team. He comes there, gets them to a national championship, leaves, goes to Miami. Now he comes back, perfect storm. He gets to Alabama. That is a historically great program. And now you add in his coaching ability along with his ability to recruit, and there you go. That's what I would be worried about with Deion Sanders. And then this leads me back to Florida State. Because you get Deion at Florida State, if he can get a young man like this to choose Jackson State, who do you think he can get to choose Florida State? A whole bunch of damn people. That's what they should be worried about.
Yep. And for another show, we would definitely, kind of eyeball the future and see which direction Mr. Sanders is going to go. But man, what a day! What a day for sports, and congratulations to Jackson State.
Absolutely.
For setting
congratulations to Deion.
Yeah, definitely.
And may I add one more thing? Oh, go ahead.
Sure, Zach. Well, I was going to say, I love the fact that this is setting a trend, and it's opening the doors for coaches who don't have the head coaching experience to step in. They can use their star power, their experiences at the highest level of their profession. The knowledge that they receive from coaches, right? That when they played at the highest level, and the schools that can't afford to empty their pocket like a Georgia can to pay Kirby Smart, you don't have to pay a Deion. You don't have to pay a Eddie George or Ed Reed or Ray Lewis, because they made millions. So you can starting it. Deion to me is starting another whole different type of trend too. But carry on, Zach, before we get out of here.
Well, I would say, like you're saying, it's a win-win for those guys because they get to come in and be a head coach. And yeah, you're not making all this money, but you're getting that on-the-job training as a head coach and with the recruiting, and you get the big bucks. But I would say you may know about this company, Aflac. When I think of Aflac now, before you used to think about the duck or whatever, it would say Aflac. I think of Nick Saban and Deion Sanders in those commercials.
Yep.
Like, that's automatically what pops in my head. And think about it. Deion Sanders, a guy that was a first-year coach, is paired up in a commercial with the greatest collegiate coach of all time.
Yep. Very, very ironic.
It's great marketing. And these other guys, I mean, Eddie George is more of a quiet guy, but these guys need to use their quote-unquote NFL star power, whatever, however little it is, to do stuff like this. And I think Ray Lewis would be a great head coach. Like, forget the X's and O's part, though you would think that he would know that. Like, I'm definitely going to give that he would know the X's and O's on defense.
Yes.
But can you imagine his personality? And then you got him in Kurt. But I'm saying to market that team in commercials and things, kind of like the Deion effect. He's a guy that would be good. Now, I can't tell you what type of marketing Ed Reed would do, but as you said, these type of guys would be great from a marketing standpoint.
Exactly. Well, Zach, man, great talk. Great way to just, this is what we do. And man, we got to get together again, once we get our scheduling together, because I know that you've been on various tours, a lot of things been going on. And, but we're still here. The Sports Brothers are still here.
Well, we're going to have to mark it down that next week or the week after, we will have to talk about the University of Georgia debacle before they play Michigan, because I have quite a few things to say about that. And I've actually watched the all 22.
Okay.
To kind of, you can get some details of what went right and what did not go right. And can they actually fix those issues? And we can talk about some of the other teams that are in there also.
Yep. Can't wait for that. I cannot wait for that. I know the listeners can't either. But we thank everybody for tuning in. We thank everybody for watching and listening to the Sports Brothers. He is Zach. I'm Mr. 411. We thank you all. We thank you all
Thank
for
you.
listening and watching. And don't forget, like, subscribe, notify. Like, subscribe, notify.
I know
Hit
you
that
didn't.
notification button.
I know you didn't play. I know we had a quick show, but that gets me excited when you do that because you get excited.
Well, you never know when it's going to show, Zach.
Yes. Look, now I feel good.
All right.
You ready for a little Thursday night football tonight, which actually should be a pretty good game.
Yep. Man, they got a good one on the slate. So
should be.
Definitely be watching that one. All right. Well, Zach, we out of here.
All right. Have a good one, Mr. 411.
Good night.